Welcome. So glad you're with us. We're going to do something different today. I have the privilege of interviewing my beautiful wife, and we're going to talk about the Arts and Entrepreneurship Summit, which is coming up. Would you just share with us a little bit, what is the Arts and Entrepreneurship Summit about?
What's exciting is that we are going to be opening up our enrollment for our Catalyst program. And in honor of that, instead of doing the usual masterclass where we share a little bit about the Catalyst program and then we allow people to enroll, we are going to do a 4-day Art and Entrepreneurship Summit. So we're going to have 4 days of teaching. And then at the end of that, we are going to open enrollment to Catalyst. And what's really cool about the summit is it's free. So what's great about that is anyone can come, they can learn, take the 4 classes with me for free. And then you can go ahead and enroll in the Catalyst program online, which is a mentorship program that helps artists and creative professionals market themselves both online and offline and build their careers and get some sort of stability. Because Joel, I think you and I both have had lots of conversations about economically, it's turning into a little bit of a time where we're going to be really concerned about what's going on. And artists need now really more than ever to have stability and vision and an actual system on how to be successful during difficult economic times and have some sort of stability and income that they can count on. So that's really what we teach in the online Catalyst program. And we're excited that instead of just a 1-hour masterclass, we're going to have a 4-day, 4-lecture summit where people can get real tangible advice that can help them in their career right now during the summit.
That's great. And can you tell us, how did you come up with the idea to create Catalyst? Where did this come from?
Oh, wow. Well, a long story short, I have been asked for years and years, all the years that we've been ministering to artists and creative professionals. So that's been almost 30 years we've been doing this, right? We've been doing it about 20 years here in AEM, actually 18 years. This is our 18th year at Arts and Entertainment Ministries. But before that, we were mentoring and helping artists in their spiritual life, in their career. Back in college, we did it down in Florida. We did it in New York, across from Hall, where we met with different artists. So we've been doing it a long time. And through that entire process, and while you had your career in music and cut your CD, and while I was working and shooting films and commercials and industrials and modeling and all sorts of stuff, I've always just had a heart to help people and to help artists be successful, because we all know that the art business and the entertainment industry are hard. They're tough. It's really difficult to be successful. It's extraordinarily difficult to make a living. And I made really good money when I was working in the industry. And I really have always had people come and ask me advice. How did you get an agent? How did you manage your career? How did you get all these gigs? How did this work for you? And I've always sort of just naturally helped people. And then when we started our ministry in Los Angeles, people started asking me to manage their careers, because after Bible study, people would say, oh, I'm really struggling with this. I'm having difficulty over here. I don't know how to talk to my publicist or my manager. And they would always come to me for advice, and I just freely gave it. And then you looked at me one day and you're like, I think you should really teach this stuff, because more people need help than just the folks that are here in Los Angeles. And I said to you, all right, well, give me a weekend, give me 2 days, and just take care of the kids, take care of everything. And I locked myself up in the office and I just sat and wrote for like 16 hours. And I thought, you know what, I'm just going to do a brain dump. I'm just going to write down everything that I know is true. I know that works. I know that's going to help people. And I'm just going to write it down. And I just did a total brain dump. And after that, I came up with basically 12 1.5 to 2 hour long lectures. And then we decided, okay, this looks good, but I really want to test these ideas out and see
Right.
if they're helpful today as much as they have been over the course of my career. And we had about 10 or 11 artists here in Los Angeles come to our house. I taught them the 12-week course.
Yeah, it was like our beta
Yeah, it was like our
testing.
beta test. And they came and people were getting into museums. People were getting hired as writers and producers on films. I mean, all of a sudden, their careers started to change and the work that they were getting was just multiplying.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
they
got
felt,
traction.
yeah, and they felt so much more organized. They felt like what they wanted to do was actually happening. You know, there's still people from that beta course that I privately mentor. Two of the former students are now in museums in Japan who are visual artists. And what's also really cool about Catalyst is it's all genres of art, because everything we do at Arts and Entertainment Ministries, we bring all the different types of artists together. And I love that because it creates such incredible inspiration. And we have this environment that isn't competitive, it's very uplifting and it's very encouraging and empowering. And that's the kind of community that artists need to be successful. We all have enough competition. It's hard enough to audition or get into a gallery or get representation or get a gig. So you need a community that truly loves you, truly wants your success, and truly wants to help you move forward. And out of our ministry, I mean, we've seen so many collaborations where someone, you know, is writing music for their CD and another person in the ministry does their album cover, and then somebody else does their photography shoot. And it's really cool how everybody comes together to help one another. And that's really the environment that I think is an incredible witness of God's grace, and how artists who are Christians can love each other and help each other move forward. And that's really what our ministry is. And that's really what Catalyst is in very practical terms, business-wise.
So that's great. Is there any kind of artist or art that just doesn't work with Catalyst and the tools you're going to talk about in the Arts and Entrepreneurship Summit?
Yeah, I haven't found yet that there's any art form that shouldn't be a part of Catalyst. You know, we've had such a diverse group of people that have participated, and in every genre, we have seen people get success, get traction, feel like they can do things they weren't able to do before, feel like they can wrap their minds around their business and not get stuck in mindset traps or stuck in fear. You know, artists deal so much with the conversations in their head and their self-talk. And one of the first things we're going to talk about at the summit is your mindset. Some people would say mindset is everything. I don't think mindset's everything, but I think mindset is extraordinarily powerful, and it
Sure.
can either debilitate you or it can give you life. And I think as Christians, it's so important that we enter into what's called a living dialogue. And I'm not going to spoil that here, because that's something that we're really going to talk about in the summit on the very first day. So if folks watching this don't know what a living dialogue is, and they don't know how to go from negative self-talk into a living dialogue, then they need to come to the summit, because that's one of the primary things we're going to talk about on the very first day of the summit. That really is life-changing. And it doesn't matter if you're an artist, a business person, a teacher, a mom. Actually, that principle is universal to humanity, because it is how to transform your mind. It's the gospel, but in a very specific, practical way. We're going to talk about it and how that transforms your mindset so that you're freed up to do the things that the Lord's called you to do. And for artists, it's being creative, and it's being his hands and legs and feet on the earth, creating and being creative and sharing your gift that he's given you because you're made in his image.
Why is this not just straight entrepreneurial tips and tricks or techniques? Why do you think it's important to incorporate spiritual principles? Why do you integrate those two?
Well, there are a lot of tips and tricks. There's a lot of practical stuff in there. But you and I, it's kind of funny how we do this interview because we both believe the same thing. But,
Yeah.
for the purpose of sharing with people what we really think.
Just trying to tee it up.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for that. Well, as we all know, we're integrated beings, and separating your art from your faith is death to both your art and your faith. Separating your art, your faith from your business and your personal life or your faith is also death to your faith and your business, because we want to be integrated people who are worshiping and glorifying God in all the parts of our lives. And you bring your beliefs into everything you do, whether you know you do or you don't. And if you're purposely dividing yourself, that's just not a healthy way to go about living. And God has so much to say in the Bible about art, about ethics, about morality, about caring for others. I mean, one of the primary things we talk about in the Catalyst program is, how do artists add value? And you and I both know, because we do this ministry together, that for so long, the church has really not been supportive and cared for artists well. And artists have for a long time felt like second-class citizens in the church. And that's so opposite of how it has been throughout history. And really, a lot of what we do here at AEM is helping artists to see how loved they are by the Lord, how important they are to God's economy, how important they are to the world, and how they add value. So we have a whole lecture on that in the Catalyst program online, when I'm mentoring artists, for them to reflect and think about how God created them and how they add value and purpose and insight to the world, and what a gift they are. And that's really important. It's important we have the right view of ourselves. And the only way we have the right view of ourselves is through scripture and hearing what God has to say about us. So you have to be integrated if you're a Christian. That is the core of what it means to be a believer, is that God is in all the things we're doing, that we're worshiping him in all these things that we're doing, that he's involved in our process, that he's involved in our life, our relationships, our work, everything. So
that's great. And does this work for, common question, is this just for emerging talent? You just got your MFA, you just moved to LA and New York, or is this for veterans? You've been doing this 20, 30, 40 years. What age group, how do you answer that?
Well, I think it's for everybody. And we have had in the same cohort brand new artists, and then artists who have been around for decades, who may have had an incredibly successful career in the beginning of their career. And then as they've gone through, they realize they're kind of plateauing and they want to level up, and they need to be more involved in their social media presence and how do you use that effectively. So I've really seen that it's beautiful when we have new and new emerging artists and veterans together. They have a beautiful way of encouraging one another and helping one another. But the principles apply to both. The principles apply because they're the principles that apply to life. So we're really talking about important marketing principles, important principles about how to structure your time, important principles of all the different marketing nuances. And the reality today is the gatekeepers are going to social media, and the gatekeepers are looking other places than the traditional routes they used to look for talent 20, 30 years ago. It's a different ballgame. So if you were this huge, successful veteran artist, you made a lot of money early in your career 20, 30 years ago, and you've plateaued for quite a while and you don't know why you're not getting traction anymore, you probably really don't understand how the world has changed and the marketing has changed and the venues to put yourself out there. But you are, in fact, sitting on a gold mine if you're a veteran artist, of an enormous amount of resources and connections that need to be reignited and need to be refreshed. You might need to be rebranded. We talk about branding in our Catalyst course online. We have an entire module on that. And things have changed and things are different. And of course, for emerging artists, what a great opportunity to start out your career on the right foot instead of just go out there and try stuff willy-nilly and not have a system to work. And it may work for you, it may not, but why take years to go through that? Why not get help now? You're prepared, you've honed your talent, you're ready to step out in the world, then let's put your best foot forward and let's work together to do that. So I really think it's for both. I think it doesn't matter what phase you're in your career. I think it's going to help you no matter what.
That's great. And the other kind of other category in there we've seen, I guess, is some people who took a break to raise kids or something.
Oh, yeah.
And so they started long ago and they're kind of coming back into it. Do you want to say anything to those people?
Yeah, well, that's very true. Actually, I'm glad you brought that up because there are a lot of particularly women who were very successful in their careers and they chose to do different things. It may have been to take care of their aging parents. It may have been to get married, raise a family, and be a mom who is more involved with her kids. And maybe they had the ability to not have to work full time. And so now their kids have gone to college, they're empty nesters or almost empty nesters, and they want to go back and put a lot more effort into their career and kind of reignite their career. And like I said, they're sitting on a bunch of resources. They're talented, they're incredible, but they have kind of that like pit in their stomach or that pause where they're like, it's been so long, I'm rusty. I'm rusty. Is it still, do I still have my spot that I used to have in the industry, or has my spot changed, or how do I handle that? So we do have artists who are like that as well that come. And I think Catalyst is a beautiful system for them because it affirms them in their talent. It helps them to see the resources that they had in the past that can be brought forward and help them now. And we just do a rebranding or a refreshing, and we put it into categories that are going to give them the most traction. So it's a beautiful system for people like that as well, because it's a safe environment where the cohorts are incredibly gracious and loving to one another. The students are, and everybody gets that everyone who's there is in a different place in their career. Everybody's at different spots. So there's great respect for where each person is and a lot of encouragement. So it's absolutely great for folks who are in that position too.
Yeah, that's so true. I was thinking we've had people who've won Grammys and people have won awards for film and visual art, and they're all giving input to one another. Especially that beta group in our living room, it was beautiful to see. So here's a question. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, I think it's incredible because a lot of times, well, most of the time, really, people don't realize that they're rubbing shoulders with, Emmy Award winners or Grammy Award winners, or that people have won major awards in their specific genre of art, because the people are genuinely humble, kind, loving people who are there to just keep moving forward. And they want to keep iterating and they want to keep understanding how to market themselves, how to be successful in their business life, and how to honor the Lord in the way in which they do that. And that's really our jam. That's what you and I love to do, is help people understand how to integrate their faith with their art and their business and their creativity and their creative process.
Absolutely. So here's a question people come up with. How often do you offer Catalyst so that they can get these tools and hear you live and all this stuff?
Well, we were offering it twice a year. We were opening up in September and then we were opening it up in January. But this year we only offered it once, and that's now. We're going to be opening it up in September. As a matter of fact, the summit starts September 19th. I had to look at my calendar there. September 19th. So it's the September 19th to the 22nd. And then we will open enrollment for the Catalyst program, and Catalyst will start that following Tuesday, which is September, I'm looking at my calendar again, 27th. And we're only doing it once this year in 2022. And we haven't really figured out what we're going to do next year, if we'll do the 2-time opening enrollment or if we'll just do the one. So I encourage people, if you are, if you're ready, and you do need to be ready, you do need to be the kind of person who's going to say, look, I'm interested in working hard on my career and understanding this stuff. I'm interested in putting the time in, and I'm interested in getting a system that's going to work and give me traction. If you feel that way and that's where you are, then you're ready to take the class. But if you're like, no, I have a bunch of stuff I want to try and I don't think I really need anything, then this isn't for you, right? Or if you think I'm going to give you a magical fairy dust and sprinkle it on you and you're going to all of a sudden be successful and you don't want to put the work in, this is not for you. Like, I give real homework, I think, and I give practical homework, but the practical homework gives you traction. I just want to give one example to that. I had this one artist who was actually, she was a pretty famous artist in Italy, and she's very successful here in America as well. And she had an enormous network that she had just not done anything with. I mean, she had been through a very difficult time of trauma in her family, and a loved one had passed away, and she was grieving, and it took her several years to go through that. And then she came to me and wanted to be a part of Catalyst, and we worked through some of the resources that we had, and we found out, my goodness, this woman knows people that, a lot of artists would give their left arm to know, like art critics and things like that. And she was incredibly well connected. And it was just kind of bringing her back to her resources and reminding her of who she was, how God saw her, how incredibly talented she was, and encouraging her and putting her back in touch with awakening her resources and getting that traction there. And then she ends up in a museum in Japan. So very quickly, I might add. So, those are the kinds of stories that we have from Catalyst. That's amazing. And that's also why, because like we've already said, of this kind of economic downturn, we're not sure how bad it's going to get, where it's going to go. That's why you and I decided to do this summit and do 4 free lectures, so people can start getting traction immediately, start working immediately, so that they can get some stability in their career to kind of weather whatever we're walking into economically now.
Absolutely. So another question is, what are the most common issues that are holding artists back? What do you see, some of the things they just don't know? They don't even know what they don't know. What's holding them back?
Well, for sure, it's mindset. I would say for sure, number one is mindset. And mindset can include your self-talk. It can include your fears that you have, feeling like you're an imposter, like, oh, I'm not selling a lot of art right now. Am I even really an artist? A lot of self-doubt and questioning, which are a lot of mindset issues, which is why we're going to tackle that the very first day. Because I think you have to tackle that so that you can hear the rest of the strategies and things that you need, and then we're also going to talk about creative boundaries. We're going to talk about how you do the best thing, not just a bunch of really nice, good things, but what really is God set apart for you. That's the best thing for you to do, the best thing for you to invest your time and your resources into. And also, people have no clue where to find their audience. Like, where am I going to find my patrons? Where am I going to find my fans? Like, so many galleries shut down during the pandemic.
So
and
true.
so many movie theaters have shut down or gone out of business.
Yeah.
And a lot of the places where we used to go traditionally for our work to be seen either aren't there or they're rebooting and it's different.
Yeah.
So the other thing we're going to talk about is, how do you find your audiences? And that's another unique thing about what we talk about, that a lot of other people who are teaching you about how to be in the art world or the entertainment industry and how to deal with the business side, they always tell you to find your audience. Well, if that's all you're going to do, you're missing out, because there are audiences that you need to be tackling. And there's a different way to talk to each of one of your audiences, a different way to market to them, a different way to manage them, a different way to have a relationship with them. So if you're treating everybody as one size fits all, no wonder why your career's not getting traction. You have to identify your audiences, and then you have to be able to have a strategy to be able to market to them, to reach them, to find them, to get them. So those are kind of the largest problems I see that artists and creatives have, both in the art world and in the entertainment industry and in gaming and media, you know?
Yeah, yeah. No, you're right. And venues closing, I think even the Landmark Theater around the corner from us, where all these celebrities come for screenings, you think it'd never be gone.
Yeah.
It's closed. It's just stunning what this pandemic has done. So everybody's
It's true.
pivoting. So what's the best way for people to get more information? How can they sign up? What should they do right now to get advantage of this?
Well, the best thing for you to do right now is to go down in the subscription, go down and subscribe to our channel, because that's how you're going to find out news about what we're doing. This is just the first of several different types of resources we're going to be rolling out this year. So we have the Art and Entrepreneurship Summit that we're going to be rolling out in the next week and a half. But then later on in the year, we're going to be doing a time management summit, where artists who need help with how to manage their time and how to deal with that very specifically, we're going to roll out later. So you need to like this video, you need to subscribe, you need to hit the bell, you need to know when we're sending stuff out so you get the information first. And also look in the description box. We're going to have a link to the summit so you can register. And you want to register right away. It is limited availability. I think I only have, gosh, I don't even know how many seats I have. I don't have a lot of seats for the summit. It is going to be limited, and we want everybody to be able to get in. So it's most important that you register right away. And like I said, that's going to be in our description down there. We'll have a summit registration. Once you go to that page, it has all the information about the summit, the times, and the days, and what each day is going to cover. And remember, it's free, so you can also invite your other friends and colleagues who are artists or creative professionals. And you'll have all the information, and then you'll get an email from me with your join link to the event, and then you'll be all set.
Now, my screen froze a little bit when you're talking. So can you recapture just the sign up and that it's limited seats?
Just that
That's
part?
Just that part, yeah.
Okay.
If you can remember what you said.
Yeah. So I would encourage everybody to register right away. I have very limited seats. I don't have a lot of room left. So if you're watching this video and you think you want to come to the Art and Entrepreneurship Summit, you need to go down in the description box and you need to register right away. There will be a link there, and that will take you to a page with all the information, all the days, all the time, the content we're going to cover. And then once you register on there and you save your spot, then you'll get an email from me with your join link. So it's really important that you do that, because like I said, I don't have a ton of room for a lot of people. So you want to make sure you get a seat.
Beautiful. All right. I think that covers it. So grab the links down below. Also, subscribe, hit the like on this video for our YouTube channel, but get to the links, get on our list, and get signed up so you can get all this free content for the Arts and Entrepreneurship Summit with your host, Michelle Pelsue. Do you want to say anything else?
No, that's great. That's great.
All
I'll
right.
see you guys there.
We'll see you there. God bless. Take care.